Hey guys, welcome to Doodle Lettering Day. I used to be so good at doodle lettering, and when I was in like 7th and 8th grade, I loved it and I practiced all the time. And so we're just gonna get you started on that today if you don't already know how to doodle some letters. So we're gonna go over 3 kinds of doodle letters today. It could be a lot more, but we're just gonna stick to 3. We're gonna do bubble letters, which are like really round and bubbly. We're gonna do block letters, which take all those round edges and we're gonna make them hard and blocky. Then I'm gonna show you how to do drop shadows, which is where we make it look like our letters are coming at us a little bit, okay? So a couple things you might need. Well, you'll definitely need a pencil. Then you're gonna maybe want a pen. I used my Jelly Roll pens. These are my favorite. And then some markers. So I have my super tips and I also have regular markers. And then of course you're gonna need something to write on, which would be a piece of paper or cardboard or newspaper or something. Not the wall, not your clothes, not yourself. Okay, let's go. So one thing that helps me, especially when I'm trying to learn something new, is to go ahead and have my alphabet written out. So you can write your alphabet yourself or you can print the alphabet, but I have written all my letters in capital letters, so A through Z, and I'm just going to try to bubble outline these letters. So here's what I mean by that. Once I put my pencil down, or my pen, I'm using my Jelly Roll pen, my absolute favorites. Once I put these down to the paper, I'm not gonna pick them up again, okay? I'm gonna start down here at the bottom. I'll start here on the side of my A, and I'm gonna come up and I wanna make every hard edge round. So I'm gonna round around that top edge, come around the bottom, and then I'm making a round underneath, just like that. And then to fill in where the opening of my A would be, I'll make a little circle. So see how now everything that was hard lines looks nice and round. The B, we don't have too many edges. I'm gonna start at the bottom and I'm gonna round around and bump out. And now I have to do my insides. So I'm just making little round bubbles inside. So it feels weird at first, like, I'm not sure I like that C very much. But the more I practice, like really getting my pen really smooth and round and big and bubbly, it'll just get better. So first we practice. Well, I'm gonna see, I've been going from the bottom up and around. I'm gonna see if coming from the top and down makes it any easier. And maybe what I need to do, ooh, see that got a little too hard lines there. Maybe I need to start in the middle instead of right at the top. I'm gonna try that over here. I'm gonna start in the middle of my letter instead of at an edge. I'll start in the middle here on my E and I'm gonna round around the top and around. I can make this really bubbly. Back up. I think maybe that did help me a little bit. So I'm just gonna go through the whole rest of the alphabet, trying to smooth out all of those hard edges. Okay, now let's see what happens if we try to put words together. So I wrote really bubbly here. So I can keep all my letters separate, like this. Or I can make my bubble letters touch each other like balloons all bundled up. And if I want it to start to look more than really bubbly, like super duper bubbly, I can take my letters and almost squish them together. I kind of did it here on the M. So let me see if I can write my name. I'm gonna do it with a pencil first. Okay. So if I have Joe, I want for all of these bubble letters to like on top of each other. I'm gonna make this part like really big, and then I'll come back around, and I want this to come up. I don't know. And then for the O, I want to make just a teeny tiny hole in the middle so that it looks extra bubbly. But letters like M and N and W, where normally on an M we would have some space in between here, if I don't give myself any space, it'll make it look extra bubbles. Let's see. N. What else did I say? Like a W. Okay. So there's bubble letters. So now let's try some block letters. And unlike bubble letters, where we're trying to make everything really round, on block letters, we're gonna let our hard edges stay nice and blocky. So we did uppercase letters last time. This time I'm gonna do lowercase letters. And on my bubble letters, I kind of outlined my pencil drawing. Sometimes on block letters, I'll actually end up using some of these outlined lines. I don't want to draw this A all the way down, so I'm going to come out, that line there and around. And then I'm going to make it a little bit thicker. Then we just have to make the inside like that. So sometimes on letters like B and D, see how this part drops down on the D, but I didn't drop it down on the B? I could have, if I did it more like that. Now I like that look a little bit better, but it's whatever style works for you. The more you practice, the better you'll get at keeping all of these spaces even. So see how on my A, there's a lot of room right here, and then this is pretty skinny. I really want to try to keep all of that even if I can. So G is another one where I'll come up just a little extra at the top. So unlike bubble letters where we would squish these two things together, on block letters it'll look better if you give it a little bit of space. Here's a fun way we can kind of embellish our block letters. Let me write, what will I write? I'll write sunshine because the sun is not shining today. So see, on sun, I kept everything really even across the bottom, but on shine, I let my letters bounce. So there's not really like S and H are kind of on the same level, and then I bounces down, and then N bounces up, and E bounces back down. So now I'm gonna grab a marker and I'm gonna start to outline these. When I can, I'm gonna still make the shapes of the letters just like that little U. Okay, I'm gonna take another color and I'm just gonna keep repeating this out and out and out. So now that we know how to do our block letters, we're gonna make them a little more interesting by doing a drop shadow. So when we do a drop shadow, you're going to either do your shadow on the top or the bottom. You'll pick one of those. And then you're gonna do it on the left or the right. So I'm gonna pick the left and the bottom. So when I do my drop shadows on a letter, I'm gonna mark on the left side of every line and the bottom side. Well, and not of every line, of every part of the letter. So we have to imagine that this letter is all filled in. So here's a left side. So I'm gonna mark on the left side. And here's the bottom. I'm gonna mark on a bottom. When I come around here, this is the right side of my M, so I don't mark there, but this is the left side. This is the right side, this is the left side, this is the bottom. When we come up to the top, that's the top, this is the right side, here's the left side, top, and right. So we're done. Now, if I want to connect these to my letter, I can leave them out here and kind of have them be like just an extra line on the outside. But if I want to connect it and make it actually look like a shadow, I'm going to draw diagonal lines on the edges out here where there's like the top of the letter. And then here's my drop shadow. I'm going to draw a diagonal line right there. I'm also going to draw a diagonal line right here. But these two lines are gonna connect to each other. So if I were to make this a shadow, I could color all of this in. When I get to this one, this line here is gonna just come straight down. There's nothing to connect it to. But here, I accidentally drew that a little too high. We would want to have a diagonal line there, similar to the diagonal line we had on that first side. And we can color it in. So on this bottom one, there's nothing, it runs into the letter now. It's not an outside edge like here. So this will run all the way into the letter, similar to there. And then here, we'll just draw that line down and color it in. On this left side here, it goes up, it runs into the letter, so no funky angles, and then it runs into its own shadow. And then over here, this shouldn't be there. I can't erase it, but we don't want that. And then we can color it in. See? I'm gonna write a few block letters here, and then I'll walk you through the drop shadow. Let's practice some drop shadows. We're gonna stick with the left and the bottom. I'm gonna mark the left side, bottom side, left side, bottom side. And then we'll have a left side right there. Now I'm gonna actually make my drop shadow. And the reason I just marked it is because I don't wanna do like on my M where I went too far if I'm actually wanting to do a little bit of a drop shadow, because at the edges, the outside edges of my letters here, I have to be able to bring that angle down. And then we'll come straight down. Ah! So you can make a really thick block shadow like I did over here. Like you can make it several lines thick, or I can make a skinny drop shadow. Left side and bottom. So when we have curves, it gets a little tricky, but I want to stay on the bottom of my curve there. And then over here we have just a little bottom of a curve there. And then we have a left side on the inside here and a bottom, but it feels backwards. So it's actually like that. Make sense? So see, another curve. So I'm gonna start, and I don't want any of the top, but then as soon as it starts to get to the left, and I'll go around all the way to the bottom. And then about where this transition happened, I can come under here to get the bottom. Left, bottom, bottom, left. So we can also do drop shadows on a whole word all together, and I've mushed this word together. It just says, hi. So I can still draw on the left and the bottom, the left and the bottom. This I is bumped up against my H. So it doesn't have a left side, but it does have a bottom. Come up here, I've got a left side. Left and bottom, and around my curve. If you want, instead of doing an actual shadow, you can do other things on the side too. So let me just draw my H again. And maybe instead of doing a drop shadow, I do little lines on the left side. That kind of make it so it look like my H's are running. I could even outline those lines. All right, here's my challenge to you. How many different versions of a letter can you come up with? Can you come up with 20? Can you come up with 50? So pick a letter. It can be the first letter of your name. It can be your favorite letter. I think I will pick an M for Make.Do. And let's just see how many M's I can come up with. Oh man, here's what I learned from that. I need more practice with my doodle lettering. I hope that the little bit that I showed you is enough to inspire you to get creative with the way that you're writing. And I hope that you share it. I can't wait to see what you come up with and what you make, because I know that it will inspire us in the group as well. And maybe now's a good time to write a note to your friend in bubble letters and block letters and whatever other kind of letters you come up with. Okay guys, see you later.